Hello everybody, I'm Abasud and welcome to my course on NIST Risk Management Framework, which is also called NIST RMF. And today we are going to talk about the step 5 of implementation of risk management framework, that is access. So we'll discuss about what is SS, what is the purpose of SS, and what are the tasks needs to be performed to complete the steps. So let's start to understand what is the purpose of SS step. So the purpose of the SS step is to determine if the controls selected for implementation are implemented correctly, operating as intended, and producing the desired outcome with respect to meeting the security and privacy requirement for the system and the organization. Now, if we want to implement the SS step, then we need to go through 6 tasks. So it start from SSS selection. So first of all, what we need to do, select the appropriate assessor or assessment team for the type of control assessment to be conducted. Organization consider both the technical expertise and level of independent required in selecting control assessor. Organization ensure that control assessor possess the required skill and technical expertise to develop effective assessment plan and to conduct the assessment of the program management system specification hybrid and common controls as appropriate. This includes the general knowledge of risk and management concept, as well as as well as approach and comprehensive knowledge of and experience with the hardware, software, and firmware component implementation. In organization where the assessment capability is centrally managed, the senior agency information security officer may have the responsibility of selecting and managing the security controls. Security controls and privacy objectives. Organization consider the degree of collaboration between the security control and privacy control assessors that is necessary. So once we select who will do the assessment, then we need to prepare the assessment plan. That is our second task, that is assessment plan. So inside assessment plan, we need to develop, review, and approve the plan to assess the implementation assess the implemented control. Security and privacy assessment plans are developed by control assessor, which we have identified in the last task, based on the implementation information conducted and security and privacy plan, program management control documentation, and common control documentation. Organization may choose to develop a single integrated security and privacy assessment plan for the system of the organization. The integrated assessment plan consist of roles and responsibilities for control assessment. Assessment plans also provide the objective for the control assessment and specific assessment procedure for each control. Assessment plan reflect the type of assessment the organization is conducting, like development testing, development testing and evaluation, independent verification and validation, audits including supply chain assessment support system, and common control authorization and reauthentication, program management control assessment, continuous monitoring, and assessment conducted after remediation action. Assessment plans are not only developed, they are also reviewed and approved in this task by authorized officers or designated representative of authorizing officer to help ensure that the planning are consistent with the security and privacy objective of the organization. Employ procedure, method, techniques, tools, and automation to support continuous monitoring and near real-time management, and are cost effective. Approved assessment plan establish expectation for the control assessment and level of effort for the assessment. Approved assessment plan help to ensure that the control assessments and the level of effort for the assessment. Approved assessment plan help to ensure that appropriate resources are applied towards the determining the control effectiveness while providing the necessary level of in making such determination. So that we do in the assessment plan. So now we have developed the plan. Now the next phase is control assessments. Now what we need to do, we need to assess the control accordingly, accordance with the assessment procedure described in the assessment plan. Control assessment determines the extent to which the selected controls are implemented correctly, operating as intended, and producing the desired result with respect to meeting security and privacy requirement for the system and organization. The system owner, common control provider, and organization rely to the technical skills and expertise of assessor to assess the implemented control using the assessment procedure specified in assessment plan, and provide the recommendation of how to respond to control deficiencies to reduce or eliminate effective identify vulnerability or identified risk. The senior agency officer for assessment of security controls prior to system operation, and for assessing the control periodically, therefore at a frequency sufficient to ensure compliance with privacy requirement to manage privacy risk. Controls implementation to achieve both security and privacy objective may require a degree of collaboration between the security and privacy control assessor. The assessor findings are factual reports of whether the controls are operating as intended and whether any deficiency in the control are discovered during the assessment. So this is the actual phase where we do the assessment on the basis of the our assessment plan. Next is, once we done with the assessment, then we'll go to our fourth task, that is assessment report. So in this task we need to prepare the assessment report, reports documenting the finding and recommendation for control assessment. So the result of security and privacy control assessment include recommendation for correcting deficiency in the implementation control are documented in the assessment report by control assessor. Organization may develop a single or integrated security and privacy assessment report. Assessment reports are key documents in the system or common control authorization package that is developed for authorizing officers. The assessment report include information based on assessor finding necessary to determine the effectiveness of the control implemented within or inherit by the information system. Assessment reports are an important factor in determining the risk to an organization operations and asset, individual, other organization, that is third party, and the nation by authorizing officer. The format and the level of detail provided in the assessment report are appropriate for the type of control assessment conducting. For example, it's a developmental testing or evaluation. It is for control authorization, reauthorization, self-assessment, assessment after remediation. So the format can be prescribed by the organization for which we are doing the control assessment. So now we have developed the assessment report. Now our fifth task is remediation action. Now we did the assessment, we know what are the findings and what are the recommendations. Now we need to implement the action. So what do we do in recommend actions? Conduct initial recommendation action on the control and reassess the remediated control. The security and privacy assessment report describe deficiency in the control that could be resolved during the development of the system or that discovered post development. Such control deficiencies may result in security and privacy risk. The finding generated during control assessment provide information that facilitates risk response based on organization risk tolerance and priorities. The authorizing officer, in consultation and coordination with system owners and other organization officials, may decide that the certain findings represent significant unaccepted risk and require immediate remediation action. Additionally, it may be possible and practical to conduct initial remediation action for assessment finding that can be quickly and easily remediated with the existing resource. So now we have remediated the action. Now it comes to a final task, that is plan of action and milestone. Prepare the plan of action and milestone based on the finding and recommendation of the assessment report. The plan of action and milestone is including as a part of authorization package. The plan of action and milestone describe the action that is planned to correct the deficiencies in control deficiencies during the assessment of the control and during continuous monitoring. The plan of action and milestone including the task to assessment of controls during continuous monitoring. The plan of action and milestone be accomplished with the recommendation for completion before or after system authorization, resource required to accomplish the task, milestone established to meet the task, and schedule completion date for the milestone task. The plan of action and milestone is reviewed by the authorized officer to ensure there is an agreement with the remediation action plan to correct the remediation deficiency. It is subsequently used to monitor the progress in completing the action. Deficiencies are accepted by the authorizing officer as residual risk or monitoring progress in completing action. Deficiencies are accepted by the authorizing officials as residual risk or are remediated during the assessment or prior to submission of a authorized package to the authorizing officers. So now we are talking about the residual risk. Residual risk is whatever the risk has come, and to mitigate that risk, the control we have assigned. So what we are saying, after implementing the control, what is the remaining risk, that we called as an residual risk. So this is what we are having, the six tasks that we need to complete the access steps. So thanks for joining me.